And we're back with another video. And yes, I got your messages, everybody. Thank you so much for sending them. And I also saw TK did a quick video, rapid video. I think he was at a bar when he did the video. So kudos to him. I cannot keep up with his incredible timeline. But I got the news about Stellantis going bankrupt. And I did get the news also, and some people didn't, but that it was Stellantis and the joint venture with GAC in China that went bankrupt. Now, this does have something to do with the U.S., and I think it's important that we talk about that, only because I believe this was a wise move for Stellantis to let this thing go down in flames, to say goodbye, and here's the mathematics why. And I didn't freaking mean that to rhyme. That is just weird. But anyways, let me show you what's going on so you know how we got here, why they got here, and could this happen in America? Could this happen with the European Stellantis operating in America? Could this completely go sideways and then go bankrupt? Many people have prognosticated that possibility exists, but I will show you some interesting things that might shed some light on that ultimate answer. Let's check it out here. Let me just click here and go down to the article. Now, I found the article from the Asian news. So this is not something that is just coming from here. This is probably the most accurate breakdown of what's going on there. And the decision actually in China, the way it works is apparently, don't quote me on this, but I just did some reading, that when a company, and especially these joint ventures, which by the way, joint ventures were the only way for a non-Chinese company to operate in China. And it goes back, decades, when the only way to get there would be to have a JV where half or more of the company would be owned by a Chinese company, and then they could go into China. And I think since then, that's changed for a multitude of reasons. And I think the primary reasons is nobody can make it there. Nobody's going to make it there against the entrenched Chinese companies. But here's what happened. The Changsha Intermediate People's Court has declared GAC and FCA Chrysler Automobiles bankrupt. They said it's bankrupt. The ruling issued on July 8th concludes a liquidation process that began nearly 3 years ago. So this isn't a we're in trouble today thing. This has been going on for quite a while, and quite a while when they explain what happened is they end up having this huge sales boom there this started in 2010, in 2017 of 205,000 units, which rapidly was interrupted with problems with the Jeeps, burning oil, which harmed the reputation. And in China, you just can't do that. You're not just going to do a recall and survive it. Immediately, sales by 2021 had dropped to just over 20,000 units. So from 205,000 units to 20,000 units. And that explains why in the last 3 years, they've been liquidating. And here's the mathematics behind it. Financial difficulties worsened the venture's decline. By September 2022, GAC FCA's liabilities reached $1.1 billion, exceeding its assets of $1.01 billion. Attempts to stabilize the company with financial support from GAC Group and Stellantis were insufficient. Now, that's the part I want you all to focus on, because Stellantis and GAC Group had to agree together to feed money to this company to keep it from being hurled into bankruptcy or save it back in like 2022 when all this crap, 2021, 2022. Apparently there were conflicts. I would bet anything the conflicts were, we're selling 20,000 damn cars. The cars are crap. And by the way, we're getting our asses kicked by BYD and NIO in the EV market. We're late to the party with EVs, just like they were late to the party in the US with EVs. And now they're getting their butts kicked, which, by the way, is happening in the US also. So there is some correlation. And I'll put this link in the description below where you can see the entire breakdown of what caused this. But bottom line is they build crappy products. They got their butts kicked by Chinese automobile manufacturers. And Stellantis was done feeding them money. Now, that's a good thing. So I believe that them saying, we're done, we're not feeding any more money, and GAC saying, we're not feeding any more money, and we'll just let this thing go down, let it get liquidated, and move on, and focus where we're making money. I think any company that goes to China would want to get the hell out of China rather than keep getting their butts kicked by the Chinese. I mean, that's why we have like massive tariffs and stuff on BYD and these Chinese automobiles, because they would come to America and decimate our automobile manufacturing here, just because pricing alone, they'd be able to do it. So that's a whole different video. Bottom line is competing with China and how cheap they can do things, wages, everything's cheaper there, government subsidies. There's all kinds of videos online also about how there's so many scams between the Chinese auto manufacturers building ghost cars piled up in lots. Go Google this stuff and you can see, just to get the government subsidies and, to push the EVs. I mean, we thought we were crazy here in America. They were crazy there. So air quality, not that much better. In the end, they did make it. They ran them out. But let's check out the other stuff here. So it entered bankruptcy actually in 2022 and has been going through the liquidation, and looks like the government just said, no, you got to do this. So that gives you the breakdown. So there's some correlations there with America, and it's easy for us to go down that road and say, well, they had quality issues here, competition here, decline in sales. All these things sound exactly the same. But wait, let's talk about the financial health of Stellantis. So Stellantis, the main Stellantis, the one we all know and don't love, has a total debt of $38.73 billion. Most recent numbers that I've been able to find as of now, or the end of 2024. And if you come down here, their cash and cash equivalents are $35.39 billion. That's how much cash they have. This results in a net cash position of minus $1.86 billion, indicating their cash is less than their debt. Dun, dun, dun. This is where we do the scary music. They're done. This is a company that has to go bankrupt. They've got less cash than they got debt. They're going in the negative. It's like having $100,000 in credit card debt and only having $60,000 in the bank. There's just no way you can unravel that problem. You're screwed for life. And I get it. That's where everybody wants to go. But this is where I want to do the little quick wake-up call. Is remember, we talk about assets. In all of our lives, we have assets, and the assets are not just the cash we have in the bank. Cash can be investments, can be cars, can be real estate, can be stuff. So at the end of 2024, Stellantis' total assets were approximately, let's just say, over $224 billion. So that's their assets. So if they had to liquidate everything, and that includes their $38 billion or $34 billion in cash, so that's sitting there in that $224 billion number. If they liquidated everything and included their cash, they could pay off their $38 billion, whatever it was, in debt and move on and be just fine. Which is why sometimes companies will get sold and broken off. Remember Gordon Gekko in the movie Wall Street? And he was this big evil businessman that would buy companies and figure out how to do takeovers of companies and then dismantle those companies and sell off the parts of those companies and put all these people out of jobs.
I am not a destroyer of companies. I am a liberator of them. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
Well, that's why that happens. You're looking at a company worth $225 billion if everything was liquidated tomorrow. They've got $38 billion in debt and almost the same in cash, included in that almost $225 billion. If they just liquidated everything, paid off their debt of $38 billion, then they would still have left over $190 billion to run off into the sunset with. So that's why they're not going anywhere, because they could borrow themselves into oblivion. They'd have to borrow over 200, let's just say over 190 billion more than they currently owe for them to go into the same position that the Chinese joint venture was in. So Stellantis, they're not going anywhere. Now, are they going to be burning cash? Do they keep on the same trajectory they're going on? Yes. But how long would it take for them to burn through almost $200 billion? It would take decades for them to do that at this point, even doing stupid things, which is why you'll see there is a risk when you have too much money, because you can do stupid things and still survive. When you don't have as much money, think about the good decisions you make just as a person in your house. I know when I had much less money than I have today, I was extremely frugal and smart and negotiated everything. It was harder to take advantage of. And then just like anything else, the more money we have, the less we want to fight about the other stuff because we know we're going to be okay. And we're more likely to be willing to take more risks because we know that it's going to be harder to take us down. Well, that's kind of, I think, what's been happening at Stellantis. So I hope this all makes sense and at least makes it clear that while everybody's going directly to, well, Stellantis, EU, and North America's next, they're going bankrupt. I don't see, unless I'm missing something here, folks, I don't see any possible way that happens. Will they keep doing stupid things? Probably. Are they trying to do smarter things? Yes, with Kinesis and Filosa and a lot of new machines coming and some unwinding of some stupid things. It seems like they're catching on. They've got enough money and assets to catch on and push through. They could literally survive for decades at this stage. They would have to do really, really stupid things for several decades before they would be able to or have to go bankrupt. And then someone would just bail them out probably. So with that, everybody, let me know what you think about this. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Greed is right. Greed works. Greed clarifies, cuts through, and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit.